my good friend Clayton Morris, who is going to be talking about all the advances in technology and medicine. Clayton, good morning.
Hey, Doc. Thanks for having me on
Happy
the show.
holidays, and thank you for being online with us. I know you keep up to date with all the technology, and I always go to you about the latest news in technology. Now, tell me something. Google, Johnson & Johnson are getting together to get into the field of robotic surgery, which is my field. What's the update on that, and what's going on?
Well, this is a really fascinating story. Google, won't be making the robotic parts, but they will be basically the brains behind the operation, partnering with Johnson & Johnson to develop these surgical robots using artificial intelligence. Remember the internet was an absolute mess. It was the Wild West before Google came along, and Google became famous for really organizing the World Wide Web. Google
That's right.
is a master of big data. So what they do with all of this data that many companies tried to organize but didn't know what to do with it, they organized it in a way that made it incredibly easy for us to search and get the results that we want. So that's what Google aims to do with this partnership, which is building the brains behind artificial intelligence inside of these robots, so that doctors from in India could be looking at through software a surgery that's taking place in New York City and analyzing this data. They might be able to look at blood vessels or different information. And then, Doc, the importance of this, being able to have then the skills to analyze millions of blood vessels around the world and to see consistent patterns and to understand illness by analyzing this data in a way that we never could before.
Well, I think this is a very exciting time for us because, as you said, every time Google gets involved, the stakes is much higher, and they're going to take it to a whole new level. As you know, my field of robotic surgery, and I've been in this field for about 15 years now. We started in France, and we talked about teleconferencing at the first few years, where I would basically do the surgery and we would show it in other countries. Then we moved on. Once we started having all these iPads and all the fact that we could draw on this, telementoring. And so I could do the surgery, or somebody in India or other countries in Israel could do the surgery, and I could actually mentor them, show them exactly where the nerves are, not to cut them, and train other surgeons all over the world. Now, I think with Google coming in, Clayton, the concept of telesurgery, meaning that I sit in New York and I operate on someone in Tel Aviv, that even may become a reality, because that delay of half a second, and as you said, Google changes everything once they get in. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting, and I think there probably are going to be some fears, right, among patients, this idea that, wait a second, you mean the doctor that's going to be performing the surgery is not in this country? He's
That's
not
right.
even in the room with me? But what I think patients may need to realize, we see this with Google's self-driving cars, right, that most of the error, and I don't mean to be saying this to you, Doc, but a lot of the error comes down to human mistakes, right?
That's true.
So if these computers are able to analyze a particular blood vessel that is actually the problematic blood vessel, and the software is able to see that in a way that perhaps the doctor cannot, think about what advance this would bring to medical research and also to surgery, that we may actually see fewer errors, not stepping in for the doctor. The doctor is still there and a part of the whole process, but it's really augmenting what you as a surgeon are able to accomplish.
No question about it. We've seen the tremor filtering that has improved. We've seen the visuals that has improved. But look, I can tell you that 15 years ago, when we started doing robotic surgery and the patient was about 15 feet away, and I would tell the patient, I sit here, and as I move my hands, the instruments inside the abdomen would move. They were freaking out. And now, 6,000 surgeries later, we're able to save their nerves, their quality of life, their sexual function. We've come a long way. I'll tell you what the issue with Google is going to be. Intuitive Surgical, ISRG, they have taken a lot of patents and they have protected themselves. That's why when I started, the stocks was $7, Clayton, and now God knows it's around $500. But I think that's why they have control of all the patents. That's the problem. But Google, what it's doing is already buying a lot of good companies. Boston Dynamics is bought by Google, which is a maker of four-legged robot called Cheetah. They also got Shaft, which is a maker of S1 humanoid robots. They are buying all the good companies that are high-tech, and that's promising. I think that's a good sign for us.
Yeah, we saw the failure of Google Glasses from a consumer perspective.
That's
You know,
right.
people were walking around with these goofy Google Glasses, but when people asked me my thoughts on it, I often said one of the most practical areas where Google Glass or smart contact lenses could be useful is in surgery. Doctors being able to see what their eyes are seeing from another doctor around the world and be able to be there in the emergency room in a way that, maybe didn't have practical consumer applications with the guy just walking his dog in the park.
It's tremendous. And I agree with you. I think sitting one day in your car without touching the car and just put the address and this thing goes to work and you can just do your text and watch a movie, it's near the future. Every time I talk to you, I get so excited about all this high tech and the medical future. Clayton, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday in the morning. Fox and Friends, Mr. Clayton Morris, anchor on the weekends. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc.